Oregon has no shortage of small towns, but some of them have stopped living, though their names still sit on the map. Behind pine forests, old rail lines, and quiet highlands are towns once born from gold, trade, industry, or simply human traffic. When those reasons disappeared, so did the towns. Some collapsed suddenly, others faded away. A few are still standing, neat and intact, but without a pulse. Now, we'll trace 15 towns, from those buried in the mountains to ones that are still alive, but no longer moving. At this point, the question isn't why these towns died, but how long before others follow. Our first stop is Bourne. This ghost town was born out of the gold rush along Cracker Creek in the late 19th century. Originally called Cracker City, the settlement quickly grew after the discovery of placer and lode gold in the Blue Mountains. The name Bourne was later adopted to honor Jonathan Bourne Jr., a politician and investor active in local mining ventures. At its peak in the late 1890s, Bourne was a bustling mining town, complete with a post office, hotel, and support facilities for miners. But its golden age didn't last. As the mines yielded less and operating costs rose, people began to leave. By the 1910 census, Bourne's population had dropped to just 77. The closure of the post office in 1927 marked the town's official end. While Bourne slowly declined after its gold faded, Cornucopia was born with even bigger ambitions, in a much more remote place. This town emerged in the late 1870s after gold was found in the Wallowa Mountains, in an isolated and hard-to-reach area. Cornucopia grew into a rugged and self-contained mining town, relying entirely on mine shafts carved into the mountainside. At its height, hundreds of people lived here, but the same remoteness that once protected it became a burden. As gold production dropped and costs climbed, there was no other economy to fall back on. Harsh winters and limited access sped up the town's decline. By the early 20th century, Cornucopia was slowly abandoned, leaving behind wooden buildings and collapsed mine tunnels, remnants of ambition buried in the mountains. Granite shows another version of the mining town collapse, a place that relied too heavily on a single resource. Like many gold towns, Granite's success was short-lived. Gold production began to drop in the early 20th century, while the cost of mining kept rising. When the major mines shut down, the town's purpose disappeared. People gradually moved away, leaving behind buildings that fell into disrepair. No replacement industry was strong enough to save it. Granite first appeared in the 1860s after gold was discovered in the Blue Mountains and quickly grew into one of Eastern Oregon's key mining communities. At its peak, it had hundreds of residents, hotels, shops, a school, and infrastructure that reflected the optimism that gold would last. Greenhorn was shaped by the extreme conditions where it stood. The town emerged in the 1860s in Oregon's Blue Mountains after gold was discovered, and it became known as one of the state's highest mining towns, sitting at over 6,000 feet above sea level. But that elevation came at a high cost. Long, harsh winters, difficult access, and expensive living and mining operations made Greenhorn fragile. When gold production started to decline in the early 20th century, there was no margin for error. People left faster than in many other mining towns. If Greenhorn was defeated by elevation and climate, Galena, also known as Susanville, collapsed under more complex instability. The town grew quickly in the early 1860s after gold was discovered in what is now Malheur National Forest. Galena thrived with shops, hotels, and a bustling mining economy. Like many Oregon mining towns, a significant number of Chinese miners worked here, especially after white miners moved on from less profitable claims. But Galena was never truly stable. A major fire destroyed part of the town in the late 1860s, and social tensions, including racial conflict, sped up its decline. As gold output dropped, there was no solid economic base left to rebuild the already weakened town. Slowly, residents left, and Galena faded as a settlement. Golden, in contrast, survives as a place frozen in time. Today, Golden is a historic district, not a living town, but not total ruins either. Its old wooden buildings, former hotel, and remnants of its main street still stand, making Golden more silent than destroyed, more historic than dead. The town's decline was gradual. As gold production fell and economic activity shifted to more accessible areas, Golden's role diminished. But unlike Bourne, Granite, or Galena, Golden wasn't completely abandoned overnight. It was established in the 1850s after gold was found in Oregon's Rogue River Valley, making it one of the earliest mining settlements in southern Oregon. At its height, Golden was a busy town with a hotel, shops, school, and a relatively stable mining community, especially compared to more volatile gold towns. Then there's Sumpter, a town that refused to completely die. It boomed in the late 1890s after large gold deposits were discovered in eastern Oregon. Unlike earlier mining camps, Sumpter grew with big city ambitions. A railroad was built to haul ore, electricity arrived early, and the population surged into the thousands. At its peak, Sumpter was a regional economic hub, not just a mining outpost. But its foundation was still fragile: gold. As the reserves dwindled and prices fluctuated, mining slowed. A major fire in 1917 destroyed part of the town and hastened its decline. Slowly, Sumpter lost its role as an industrial center, and residents moved to more stable towns. Unlike other ghost towns, though, Sumpter was never fully abandoned. Today, it survives as a living ghost town, sparsely populated, reliant on heritage tourism, a mining museum, and a scenic railroad. Hardman never had the luxury of a gold rush. It emerged in the late 19th century as a trading post and a key stop along transport routes in eastern Oregon. Hardman served ranchers, merchants, and freight haulers crossing the dry and remote region. A general store, small hotel, and basic services grew, not because of natural resources, but because people passed through. The problem was, Hardman depended entirely on that traffic. When railroads and modern routes shifted toward more strategic towns, Hardman lost its purpose. No mining, no industry, no new economic draw. Gradually, stores closed and residents left. Today, Hardman is considered an almost total ghost town. A few structures and ruins still stand in the open landscape, a reminder of a place that didn't die because it was drained, but because the world stopped coming. If Hardman died because the world stopped passing through, Luper vanished even more completely, losing its town form altogether. Luper developed in the late 19th century as a small railroad station and farming community in Lane County. Its location on the Southern Pacific Railroad made it a key shipping point for local crops and a home base for rail workers and nearby farmers. It was never large, but it was steady. Homes, utility buildings, and a functioning rural life. But Luper's entire existence hinged on the railway. When routes shifted and the station shut down in the early 20th century, the town's role disappeared almost overnight. Without transportation links, there was no economic reason to stay. Residents moved on, buildings were dismantled or abandoned, and Luper quietly faded from the map. Today, all that marks its former presence is Luper Cemetery. No town, no main street, just a graveyard where a living community once stood. Boyd died the moment its industry was pulled out. This small industrial town grew in the early 20th century in the Columbia River Gorge, centered around a cement plant and regional construction activity. Its proximity to major transportation routes allowed Boyd to function briefly as a working-class community. Modest housing, basic services, and a rhythm of life entirely dictated by factory shifts. The problem was, Boyd was never self-sustaining. It only existed as long as the industry did. When the cement plant closed and operations moved elsewhere, the town's entire reason for being vanished. There was no town center, no replacement economy, and not enough population to keep it going. Today, Boyd is considered a near-total ghost town. All that remains are the ruins of industrial structures and utility buildings, slowly swallowed by vegetation. Boyd is a stark reminder of towns that don't die from time, but from economic decisions. When the machines stop, the town shuts off. Buncom, on the other hand, faded slowly. The town emerged in the late 19th century in Baker County as a farming settlement and support hub for nearby mining activity in eastern Oregon. Buncom never saw a gold rush-style population boom, but it was steady. It had a hotel, a general store, a post office, and the quiet rhythm of daily life, serving local miners and farmers alike. Its decline wasn't dramatic. As mining in the surrounding areas dwindled and trade routes shifted, Buncom's role gradually faded. People moved to larger, better-connected towns. There was no great fire, no sudden collapse, just a slow decision to move on. Today, Buncom is known as one of the most well-preserved ghost towns in Oregon. Several wooden buildings still stand in good condition, as if the town was only vacated yesterday. If Buncom faded and left buildings behind, Stauffer didn't even offer that luxury. Founded in the early 20th century in Wasco County, Stauffer was a tiny settlement that briefly served agricultural and utility needs in Oregon's remote interior. It wasn't a mining boomtown, nor a trade hub, and never had a significant population. Stauffer existed simply because it was needed for a while. When that need disappeared, Stauffer didn't collapse. It vanished. People moved away, buildings were dismantled or fell apart, and no one saw a reason to rebuild. There's no record of fire or disaster, just the quiet fact that the town no longer mattered. Within a short time, Stauffer disappeared from the physical map. Today, it's classified as a true ghost town, with nothing left but a name in old records and dusty maps. Shaniko survives as a shadow of its former glory. The town boomed in the early 20th century as a hub for wool and livestock trade, earning it the nickname Wool Capital of the World. Its strategic location along the railroad made Shaniko a vital distribution point for Oregon's interior. At its peak, the town featured a grand hotel, a bank, a newspaper, and a population that thrived on the movement of goods and people. But its fall came quickly. When the railroad line was rerouted and the shipping center moved elsewhere, Shaniko lost its core purpose. A devastating fire in 1949 worsened things, destroying many of the town's main structures. Still, Shaniko was never completely abandoned. Today, it's known as a living ghost town. A few buildings remain, occasional tourists pass through, but permanent life is nearly non-existent. It's a town kept alive only by its refusal to be forgotten. Antelope collapsed because of division from within. This small town in Wasco County began as a quiet agricultural community, sustained by ranching and local trade. For decades, Antelope existed with little fanfare, a small town with a small, steady population. Everything changed in the early 1980s when the Rajneesh movement, followers of Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh, purchased a large tract of nearby land and gradually took over local political structures. The town's name was even changed temporarily to Rajneesh. Tensions between longtime residents and the new arrivals escalated quickly, sparking legal, political, and social conflict on a national scale. After the group collapsed amid scandal and federal intervention, Antelope never fully recovered. Today, Antelope still exists on the map, but its function is nearly gone. The population is tiny, economic activity is minimal, and the town is known more for its controversial past than its present. Dufur is a fitting final stop in this journey through Oregon's forgotten towns, showing another kind of emptiness, a place that remains on paper but has lost the drive to grow. Founded in the late 19th century as a wheat farming community in Wasco County, Dufur was never a mining camp or railroad boomtown. It was built for stability, with a school, churches, and services for the surrounding farmland. But over time, that stability turned into stagnation. As farming became mechanized and fewer workers were needed, Dufur's population didn't collapse. It simply shrank. There was no new industry, no influx of residents, and no economic spark to reignite the town. Dufur still exists because its basic functions are still needed. Today, it's not a classic ghost town. It's a town that's technically alive, but dynamically dead.